Hey there guys, Noah here. Welcome back to another Vanguard discussion video, and into this video, I'll be covering my personal takes on Vanguard Dear Days. It's, at the time of this recording, you guys will probably see it, it'll be way past a week since the game actually launched, and I'm going to be kind of going over my personal takes with it. I know a lot of people hate this game, I know there are a lot of people who like this game, and I'm just sitting here in the middle. I kind of want to give this game a lot more praise than it probably deserves, but at the same time I can't overlook certain problems with the game that I'll be going over in today's video, among many other things. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and consider subscribing to the channel because any bit of support is greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's just jump into this.
Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days.
So I want to first quick talk about the pricing because I've made two videos that have had moderate success regarding this issue, and they were more quick skits than anything else. So I'll give you guys my initial breakdown on it. I think the fact that this game was released for $70 and was released right before Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was absolutely a major shot in the foot for Bushiroad in specific. However, I find it hard to believe that Bushiroad wasn't already aware of this, and I specifically blame Fuyu in particular for the regional pricing of this game. Because let's be frank here, I know Bushy probably had their hands full when it came to this, because even trying to actually outsource to any company to actually license a game like this is already kind of difficult depending on the company. But if you know that Fuyu has had issues before with pricing, even for the Japanese market, why would you trust them to make a game and not have them overcharge this much? Specifically in America and other regions that have inflated prices for no damn reason. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I blame Fuyu in particular and not Bushiroad at the end of the day. And I think that's something we need to keep in mind. So all of the hate that comes toward Bushiroad needs to go away. So why is this a big deal? Because it obviously was going to affect the sales, and I'm not sure if we'll ever get an idea of what the sales numbers were like, but based off quick searches that I could find, chances are that you're probably not going to see those sales numbers for a while, and even then they're probably not going to look good. Like, truth be told, I would be amazed if Dear Days actually sold even 1 million copies. Like, if Dear Days was able to sell 1 million copies minus the DLC, just the base game on its own, that would be impressive. And because of all of this, if they had released this game either a week before or a week after Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I think these games would be doing a lot better than they actually are. That being said though, it's kind of a give and take. $70 is already a hard sell in general, regardless of when you decide to release it. And adding on to insult to injury is that the DLC also released for a large sum of money. And a lot of this DLC you could get in the actual game, like the card rarities and whatnot. I'm pretty sure you just get all of that in-game. You just have to pull for it. And as a result, I don't necessarily think that it's that big of a deal that they're actually charging money for basically what you could easily have free content. But the other thing is that they're going to be releasing some of this DLC later on next year, when the game is still going to feel outdated. Vanguard EX, to take a small, example, another game made by Fuyu, had an entire card pool from their first V-Series sets leading all the way into sets that hadn't even come out in English yet. And as a result of this, people were actually able to sit there and mess around with the stuff before the BCS season, which actually helped out a lot of players kind of figure out, okay, what's my deck going into BCS? Vanguard Dear Days is nothing like that. We get up to basically the festival collection and a few promos that had just recently came out in English, and even 1 or 2 promos that haven't come out in English at all. And the fact that we're kind of just sitting there in the corner being like, why? It makes no sense why they're releasing the DLC so late, with even some of the DLC releasing in June. which by that point, we're talking completely different formats at that point. So on top of the mid pricing and the mid DLC in general, you're not even going to release these at a reasonable time. Enough to a point where by the time we actually get all the DLC later on next year, it's going to feel outdated and nobody's going to be playing it. Let's be frank here. This is a game that is designed for the casual crowd. This is not designed for anybody who actually wants to build decks in the current format and actually play kind of similarly to Master Duel, which is what a lot of people were hoping with Dear Days. And I can't be the only one who thinks this, that at the end of the day, because of just these issues in themselves, that Dear Days was just a wasted opportunity that honestly can't be redeemed at this point. So let's go over what this game actually has to offer you, which honestly isn't much. So you have a story mode, which honestly is just mid, and if you go through it all in one sitting, you're gonna fucking hate yourself. Okay. Then you're gonna have the character fights and the ranked ladder, which I'll get to in a moment. Okay. Then you have the card shop where you actually, purchase the cards to actually build your decks for. You also can get some cosmetic upgrades like deck sleeves and actual playmats and whatnot. Okay. And then you have the deck building option, which is a clusterfuck sometimes. Especially when you're just trying to build one deck. It's very cumbersome and just honestly a pain in the ass to, make a deck. So outside of that, you really don't have a whole lot else. Like, you really don't. You have a small little collection area where you can view everything that you've collected so far. I'm guessing this was made for the completionists, but I don't see anybody who's actually going to try to complete this game, really. And really, outside of that, you don't have a whole lot. And in a lot of ways, this is just a reskin of Vanguard EX. A new format and a new card pool, sure, but it's just basically the exact same shit. Nothing we hadn't already seen before. And that's really unfortunate, but at the same time, this is free year, so I'm just gonna move on. I just mentioned it in the deck building process, but this game has tank controls. And I'm not even kidding when I say that. This game has borderline tank controls, especially if you're on Steam and you're using keyboard and mouse. Good fucking luck. You're going to fucking struggle at first. But once you get the hang of it, it's kind of like whatever. But it's still a pain in the fucking ass. Especially if you're trying to read a card skill and you need to zoom in for it. You have to hit a button, and then you have to hit the button twice to get out of it, which is absolutely fucking stupid. Why didn't we just have a separate back button to where if you only need the first one, you could just do, hit that first button to actually read the card, then you can back out with a different button. Why do we have to hit the same button twice just to back out of it to view the board again? To me, it makes no damn sense. This is something that could have very easily be programmed, and I don't know if it was just me having this issue, but I guarantee you I'm not the only one who's actually had this issue. Then it is, on top of that, you also have actually controlling the board, because the buttons are where you feel like it should be, it honestly isn't, and there's no way to actually customize the controls at all to your own liking, which is something that I honestly don't understand why the game doesn't have. And if it does, oh well, but it really didn't make that much of a difference probably. Oh boy. And when you're doing ranked fights, I've heard it from a few people in specific. Like Outer Orange mentioned it at one point during one of her streams, or one of her videos in general, saying the timer that they give you to actually make your moves and everything is, for some people, extremely harsh. I'm just kind of like, I never really notice it because I know what the fuck I'm doing with my cards. But I could imagine for a new player or somebody who's just getting back into the game and doesn't know what every single card ability does, that the timer in question, especially for reading a specific card, having to hit the button a couple times to actually exit out of said card and then proceed to figure out what they want to do about it. Yeah, I imagine for some people it's kind of stressful. And I feel like there are some people out there who would probably want the timer to be kind of more lenient. But to me, it's just whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And I don't really see it outside of one or two instances being a problem. At the end of the day, I'm kind of left with just one question. Why did this have to be an EX clone? Like, honest to God, why the fuck did this have to be an EX clone? To me, it makes no damn sense, and I wish I had better things to talk about it. I was planning on doing so many videos for this game, but the more and more I sat down and played it, the more and more I felt disappointed that I wasted $70 on this game. But I'm curious about your takes on this, because I know there's going to be quite a few people who are going to comment on this video if my other Dear Days related videos have anything to say about it. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this. Do you think Dear Days was okay, or do you think that this is an absolute fucking disgrace? Let me know in the comment section, and until next time, this is Noah, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.